In today's video, I want to discuss the William Nylander situation with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Will they end up getting him signed, or will they have to trade him? We'll discuss all that coming up next. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams, so if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. As I mentioned, today I want to discuss the William Nylander situation here with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now obviously the NHL season began last night with the Toronto Maple Leafs playing their first game against the Montreal Canadiens, and of course William Nylander is still absent from the lineup, no contract, and there does not appear to be any progress made that we've been made aware of here, and there's really not much hope on the horizon that something's going to get done here in the very short term. William Nylander remains over in Sweden, training and getting ready to hopefully come back and play. But as of right now, we have no idea and timelines on when that's going to happen until some progress gets made here on a contract. As we've reported and discussed here on this channel before, it does look like William Nylander's camp is looking for $7 or $8 million on a long-term deal with the Leafs. And I know the Leafs would like to sign him to a long-term deal, but it looks as though their number is closer to $6 to $6.5 million. And that they're kind of expecting to take a little bit of a hometown discount here to remain with the Leafs and give the Leafs the best chance to win. Now, we saw an interview with Brendan Shanahan, and he had some very interesting comments on the situation here, which I'm going to put up on the screen and kind of read through here with you. I can speak from personal experience that when I get together with some of my old teammates from the Cup years in Detroit, we talk about winning together and growing together, and that's what we remember looking back. At the end of the day, we all found a way to fit with each other so that we could keep adding to the group. And that's obviously what we're asking some of our young leaders to do. There's a lot of other voices, and understandably so. And like I said, it's not for everyone, and we're not for everyone. But we think that the players we currently have, while it's not going to be easy, we have great confidence that they have bought into being a part of this program and being part of the Toronto Maple Leafs and representing Toronto in a way that they understand what's going to be most important. What I hope they can look back on in 20 years, 30 years down the road, what's going to be most important to them is whether or not they maxed out as an individual and as a team and have championships to look back on and remember forever. One thing that was made clear from this excerpt here from the Brendan Shanahan interview was that they do expect their young players to take a little bit of a discount in order to keep the group together and to have the best chance to win here over the next number of years. As we know, William Nylander is not the only young superstar forward that needs a new contract, but he's the only one that needs a new one as of today. Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews are due for extensions as well, but those can wait until next summer. One thing that does seem to be clear, though, with Kyle Dubas and the Toronto Maple Leafs don't seem to be caving on their side. I don't think an $8 million contract is going to be in the works at all for William Nylander, no matter how long he holds out here. At the end of the day, he's losing anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000 per day, depending on what type of contract he did end up signing, and that's a lot of money to be sitting on. So based on all these comments, I do think it's fair to say that William Nylander is asking for a lot more money than the Maple Leafs are willing to pay him. And it's not their opinion that he's just overvaluing himself here and they're having a bit of a stalemate. They're trying to keep this whole group together. As we all heard before in an interview with Kyle Dubas saying we can and we will, obviously that meant that he will get all these players signed to long-term deals, keep the group together, and hopefully win plenty over the next decade. But at this point, William Nylander may not be a part of that if things don't change and change in the short term. So as a restricted free agent, the Maple Leafs hold his rights. He can't just go sign with another team, as we all probably know. However, he could receive an offer sheet from other teams, but that does appear to be unlikely to happen as well. So the longer William Nylander holds out, he's losing money, he's losing playing time, and if he doesn't sign by December 1st, he's not eligible to play at all this year. Now, I really don't imagine this is going to drag on here too long, but as we get further into October and as every game goes by, I would think that the likelihood increases that more and more that he does end up getting traded if they come to a stalemate. As we've seen last night and as we all discussed leading up to the season, they have a great powerhouse forward group. They have an excellent goaltender. Their defense isn't too bad, but it certainly is the weaker area of the team. If they were to trade William Nylander, they probably could snag themselves a pretty decent defenseman. Since they're in a situation where they can't afford to overpay William Nylander, they certainly can't afford to overpay a defenseman as well, but they might very well be able to find themselves a more valuable contract, maybe in that $4, $5, $6 million range for a top four guy who can come in and be a good help here longer term. The other thing I noticed here from these comments from Brendan Shanahan is I do think the Leafs brass are starting to question how badly William Nylander wants to be in Toronto and what's more important here, getting paid or winning. And it looks as though they're more leaning towards that he's more interested in getting paid. If he's going to absolutely insist on getting an $8 million contract, I don't see that the Leafs have any other choice but to end up trading him, hopefully for a good return, like I said, to maybe help the blue line. But unless he's willing to come down in price here and accept a $6 to $6.5 million contract, I don't see this ending very well or ending anytime soon. Another thing to keep in mind here as well, when John Tavares was signed this summer, obviously that's a huge deal for the Leafs. You know, that's the biggest free agent signing we've had in a long time, probably the biggest ever for the Maple Leafs. And one of the things that he mentioned as well is that it was important to him that they keep all these guys together to keep this team as strong as possible. Otherwise, it kind of defeats the purpose of him coming home and trying to win multiple championships here during his tenure with Toronto. So I do think it's important to the players that Nylander stay and help the team win. But as we've seen last night, the Maple Leafs are in excellent shape even without Nylander in the lineup. Are they better with Nylander in the lineup? Absolutely. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He is a very dynamic forward. But at the same time, he is arguably their fourth best guy up front. He's not going to make as much money as John Tavares, Austin Matthews, or Mitch Marner. I do think it's fair to say that Austin Matthews won't be making any less than John Tavares when he gets his new contract in place, depending on how this season goes. Especially if his contract does not get done until the end of this season. If he's able to keep up the pace like he's had the last couple of years and outperforms Tavares, which is quite a possibility here, I don't see how they could justify giving him less money to a player who can produce at an even higher level and who is significantly younger as well. So I do think it's quite possible that Austin Matthews gets at least $11 million that Tavares is getting, if not a little bit more. And I do think if Mitch Marner has the type of year that a lot of people think he will, he very well could be a $9 to $9.5 million player. You add up Marner, Matthews, and Tavares' salaries, that really doesn't leave a lot for a guy like William Nylander. Could William Nylander kind of be hurt here that after bringing in Tavares that he's not going to get paid by the organization that drafted him and helped him develop into the player he is today? It certainly is a possibility. Neither side seems to be giving in here, so they're both kind of being stubborn in what they want. And at the end of the day here, I do think the team will win. They have more leverage in this case than William Nylander. The Leafs can have a solid season and continue to win without him in their lineup. They proved that last night as they started the season against Montreal. So looking at this realistically, do you think it's possible, especially as a Leaf fan, that they can come to terms here with William Nylander, get him signed to a long-term deal, have him accept, anywhere $6.5 million, and make it work so he can stay with Toronto and help them be more successful? Yes, he may be able to get a little bit more money on the open market from another team if he were to be traded perhaps, but is he going to have a chance to play with these caliber of players and have a chance to win? So as time goes on here, I think we'll probably find out how important it is to William Nylander to be a Toronto Maple Leaf, how important it is to William Nylander to be part of a winning organization, how important it is to William Nylander to have the best shot at winning, a championship or multiple championships here over the next 5 to 10 years as they really hit their prime with a lot of these young star players. Making as much money as possible is more important than winning, then I think we'll end up seeing William Nylander ask for a trade, and there will be a fair bit of teams that are probably willing to pay him and make a deal for his services as he is a very strong player. So I'd love to hear your comments down below. Is William Nylander likely going to get signed here to a long-term deal by the Leafs, or is he asking for too much money and it's just going to result in him end up getting traded? If you're new to the channel here, I hope you consider subscribing. We cover all 31 NHL teams, and there's plenty of content here for all hockey fans to enjoy. So if you're new, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button as well. I'd really appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you very much for watching, everybody. We will catch you next time.